Hello everyone, I would like to welcome each one of you to my channel Shaliza Classes. Well, I would like to request you to watch my previous video of subject and predicate first because this video is a link to that previous video. As in this video, we'll be practicing worksheets on subject and predicate. So it's very important that you understand the concept first before you actually practice it. So this is a recapitulation session with a lot of practice worksheets. So we'll be discussing subject and predicate in today's session. We already know that the subject and predicate are two parts of the sentence. So these are the learning outcomes of today's session. At the end of this session, you will be able to differentiate and identify subject and predicate appropriately in sentences. And we'll identify subject and predicate in interrogative sentences. We will find out complete subject and predicate and much more. So before we actually start the session, let's have a quick recall of subject and predicate. So what is a subject? Subject is who or what the sentence is about. That means whomsoever we are talking about in the sentence is called a subject. Subject carries a noun, pronoun, or a thing. And predicate means what the subject is, has, or does. So whatever action is done by the subject is called predicate. So predicate carries a verb. So children, it's very easy to identify subject and predicate in simple sentences, but it's little tricky, to identify it in an interrogative sentence. So I mean, if you really do not read the sentence properly, you might go wrong. So let's understand what is an interrogative sentence first. An interrogative sentence is a sentence which asks a question and ends with a question mark. So it is very easy to identify interrogative sentence because something which ends a sentence which ends with a question mark is an interrogative sentence. Now let's start with an exercise. Circle the subject and underline the predicate in the following sentences. Who are you? So we have to ask this question to ourselves, whom we are talking about in the sentence. So who are you? Whom we are talking about in the sentence? We are talking about you. So pronoun you is subject here. And who are becomes predicate. So very easy. Second one, have you seen the picture? Who has seen the picture? You. So pronoun you is subject here and have seen the picture becomes predicate. What do you like to eat? So whom we are talking about in the sentence? We are talking about you. So pronoun you becomes the subject and what do like to eat becomes predicate. Fourth sentence, does she clean the floor? Who cleaned the floor? She cleaned the floor. So pronoun she becomes subject and does clean the floor becomes predicate. Fifth sentence, did your mother scold you? So who scolded you? Your mother scolded you. So here your mother becomes subject. So here in this we cannot separate your from mother because your is a possessive adjective. So your mother becomes subject. Did scold you becomes predicate. I hope you're now finding it easy to identify subject in interrogative sentences. Okay, coming to sixth sentence. What is your name? So let's try to answer this question. What is your name? If I write my name is Shaliza Katyal, right? So whom I'm talking about in this sentence? I'm talking about my name, right? So is Shaliza Katyal becomes predicate if I try to find out subject and predicate in the answer statement. But if we see the question statement, what is your name? So whom I'm talking about in the sentence? I'm talking about your name. So your name becomes subject and what is predicate, right? Coming to seventh sentence, how were the gate and the window made? So, whom I'm talking about in the sentence? I am talking about the gate and the window. So they become subject. And what is predicate? The remaining part of the sentence is predicate. How were made becomes predicate. Very easy. Eighth, how does she open the door? So again, I have to ask this question to myself. Who opened the door? She opened the door. So pronoun she becomes subject. And how does open the door becomes predicate. Ninth, are you going to see her? Who is going to see her? You are going to see her. So pronoun you becomes subject and are going to see her becomes predicate. Okay. Coming to 10th one now. Who teaches English? So here, who takes the place of subject? So pronoun, so who becomes subject here and teaches English becomes predicate here. So I hope you have now found the exercise on subject and predicate. Very easy. Okay, now let's try another assignment on subject and predicate. Let's understand the exercise and let's read the question carefully. Circle the subject and underline the predicate in the given sentences. So the sun was shining brightly. So whom we are talking about in the sentence? We are talking about the sun. So the sun becomes subject. And what was the action which was done by sun? It was shining brightly. So was shining brightly becomes predicate. Coming to second one, the dogs were barking loudly. So who were barking loudly? The dogs. So the dogs become subject. Were barking loudly is predicate. Third, the pretty girl was wearing a blue frock. Whom we are talking about in the sentence? Who was wearing a blue frock? The pretty girl. So the pretty girl becomes subject. Was wearing a blue frock becomes predicate. Fourth, my younger brother serves in the army. Who serves in the army? My younger brother. So my younger brother becomes subject. Serves in the army becomes predicate. Fifth, the man and his wife were working in their garden. Who was working in their garden? So the man and his wife. The man and his wife becomes subject. Were working in their garden is an action, right? So it becomes predicate. My mother and my aunt are trained classical dancers. So who are trained classical dancers? My mother and my aunt. So this is subject. Are trained classical dancers is predicate. Seventh, you don't have to wait for me. Who don't have to wait for me? You. So pronoun you becomes subject. Don't have to wait for me is predicate. We will no longer tolerate this. Who will no longer tolerate this? We. So pronoun we becomes subject. Will no longer tolerate this is predicate. Ninth, the little tree was covered with needles instead of leaves. So what was covered with needles instead of leaves? The little tree. So this becomes subject. Was covered with needles instead of leaves becomes predicate. 10th, a rich merchant was passing by the shoemaker's window. So who was passing by the shoemaker's window? A rich merchant. A rich merchant becomes subject. Was passing by the shoemaker's window is predicate. Now let's practice another worksheet on subject and predicate. Underline the subject and circle the predicate in the given sentences. The old house on the corner has a big garden. So, what has a big garden? The old house on the corner. So this becomes subject. This is a complete subject. Has a big garden is predicate. Second, the hammer on the shelf can be used to work. So what can be used to work? The hammer on the shelf becomes complete subject. Can be used to work is predicate. Saisha, my sister's friend, is very pretty. So who is very pretty? Saisha, my sister's friend, becomes complete subject. Is very pretty is predicate. Fourth, Ria and her siblings were discussing about the party. So who were discussing about the party? Ria and her siblings. And were discussing about the party is predicate. Their pet Rox is missing since last Sunday. Who is missing since last Sunday? Their pet Rox is missing since last Sunday is predicate. Suhani, Sanchi and Eric went to the mall to buy a gift. Who went to the mall to buy a gift? Suhani, Sanchi and Eric. Went to the mall to buy a gift becomes predicate. The table in the room needs to be shifted to the office. So what needs to be shifted to the office? The table in the room becomes complete subject. Needs to be shifted to the office is predicate. I went to watch a movie yesterday. Who went to watch a movie yesterday? I. So pronoun I becomes subject here. Went to watch a movie yesterday becomes predicate. So I hope you all have enjoyed watching my video on subject and predicate and have practiced worksheets as well. So bye everyone. See you again and I'll be back again with another topic soon. Goodbye.